Cristiano sat rooted on his seat. Cold sweat dripped from his face despite the chill from the television studio's central air conditioner. He didn't expect the question Roland Keane, one of the guests, asked, and his heart dropped in sorrow as a wound he had tried to bury got dug up again. The television studio was dead silent as the live television audience were gripped by shock, just as the audience watching from their homes were. The humming of the electricity in the studio filled the air rather than whispers, laughters, gasps that usually came from the audience. If you strained your ear, you would be able to pick out the frantic thumping of the hearts of the audience. What happened wasn't supposed to happen. The TV host was also stunned. In his years working on TV, this was the first time he would experience this kind of a scene. He didn't have experience handling. His brain searched for a solution, and years of training kicked, and his mouth began to move. "That was completely wrong," the host said. "You don't get to say something like that." The host continued, fury rising in his voice. If he felt this way, how would Cristiano Ronaldo feel, he wondered. "Apologize this instant," the host demanded, his voice punching a hole in the silence that had owned the room. The audience suddenly found their voice. "Get the heck out of here," one man said. "Move off," another yelled. "You piece of slime," another called. The situation was getting out of control, and the host couldn't inspire calm. Security personnel began to scramble to calm the raging audience. This shouldn't have happened. Cristiano Ronaldo should have been smiling and not fighting tears because of embarrassment. In their shock-filled minds, the audience thought the same thing. How would Cristiano react? Would he say something hurtful in return? Would he angrily storm off? The night wasn't supposed to go this way. Pity filled the eyes of an audience member as he remembered what he read about Cristiano before coming to the studio to see him live. The audience member read that Cristiano lived a life filled with struggle. He read Ronaldo even faced this trouble right from his mother's womb. When his mother was pregnant with him, she considered removing the pregnancy because the family was too poor. She decided to keep him, but it wasn't easy. She had to get by with the little she had. When Ronaldo was born, he was a tiny little thing and had to endure more hardships. However, just as he fought to be born, Ronaldo never gave up. As the suffering became much, Ronaldo needed an outlet, and soccer became an outlet for him. He was born to play the game, and it led him to become one of the most expensive players in the world when he moved to the Spanish club, Real Madrid. At Madrid, Ronaldo became king and was at the heart of whatever they did. However, Ronaldo's passion had a downside. It fueled his need for perfection and also his pride. So, despite what he achieved with Madrid, when he felt disrespected by the club's president, Ronaldo decided to leave for Juventus. At Juventus, Ronaldo was almost worshipped, but his passion led him to conclude that Juventus didn't have ambition. So, he left there for his former club, Manchester United. At first, Ronaldo had an incredible season for United, but then he suffered a tragedy. The audience member shook his head. It was this tragedy that Roland Keane had made a mockery of. Roland Keane sat down opposite Cristiano. He rested his back calmly on his chair, his thighs apart, and his fingers forming a diamond shape as he placed them in between his thighs. He heard the screams of the audience and the demands of the host. He could have screamed back at them, but then he wouldn't enjoy the look on Ronaldo's face and the scream of the audience members. Keane looked around and saw how the security struggled to keep the audience under control. His lips twitched at the corner as a smile formed on his face. Yes, he thought, keep on screaming. Keane was certain that he would be the center of media attention in the coming days. He already imagined what the headline would be. Roland Keane rattles Cristiano, or shocking Cristiano Ronaldo's secret gets exposed. The Daily Whale would probably use that headline, Roland thought. Eventually, his eyes settled on Cristiano Ronaldo. The tears that Ronaldo fought had gone. It had become replaced with something else, something dark, something Keane himself hadn't seen before. It looked like Ronaldo was going to pounce on Keane, and was barely restraining himself. Keane needed something to push Ronaldo to the wall, and had an idea. He stared at Ronaldo, and Ronaldo matched his gaze. Slowly, Keane's lips pulled to the side in a wide smile. Ronaldo bubbled with fury. His cheeks were puffed, and it took all he had to remain seated. Keane mocked him and tried to embarrass him with an event from the darkest period of his life. The host stared at Ronaldo and made a quiet plea that Ronaldo should not lose his temper. Keane enjoyed the chaos. This was something he had planned to do for a while since he and Cristiano Ronaldo played together in Manchester United. Keane hated how Ronaldo got all the attention. He wanted to humiliate Ronaldo, and he wasn't yet satisfied with what he had done so far. "Ronaldo!" Keane called, the microphone clipped to his shirt carrying his voice across the speakers in the studio. The audience heard and paused to see what Keane wanted to say. Maybe he wanted to offer an apology. Keane kept an intense stare at Ronaldo. "Did you leave Manchester United to join the Saudi Arabian club because of money?" Ronaldo's heart pounded heavily in his chest. His rage had gotten to its limit now. Would Keane ask the same questions again? "I have found out that you didn't like the United coach at the time." Keane paused. The audience and the security were still. They all wondered the same thing. Why was Keane doing this? What did he have to gain from provoking Ronaldo? Ronaldo stared at Keane, his eyes red with fury. He barely controlled his tongue and wanted to fire off replies, but Ronaldo kept still. His composure was shaken, but he controlled himself so he wouldn't have an outburst. "Because you didn't like the coach, your agent Jorge Mendes began talking to other clubs, including United rivals Manchester City." Keane paused. The audience began to boo. The host put a finger in ear, pushing the communicator in his suit, and began to whisper. "Cut the program from air," the host pleaded. "Are you kidding me?" the producer asked. "This is the highest number of viewers that we've had in years," the producer said with excitement in his voice. "Whatever you do, let this continue," the producer said with a finality to his tone. The host looked angry, but he had his orders from the studio. He stared apologetically at Cristiano. Their eyes met, and he mouthed, "I am sorry," to Cristiano. Cristiano nodded his head at the host and smiled. The host was stunned. Cristiano was smiling? Were his eyes playing tricks on him? Ronaldo returned his gaze to Keane, whose mouth parted in a mocking smirk. "It was when Mendes didn't get a club for you that you lied so you could save face," Keane said, his voice slowly rising. "You lied that it was because your child died that you didn't return to Manchester United for training," Keane shouted. "You used the death of your child as an excuse, and despite that you failed to get a club in Europe that wanted you," Keane declared. "You are washed, Cristiano, washed." Keane paused to catch his breath. "No one wanted you. You are a has-been. You didn't want to accept this, so you used your dead child as an excuse. You are a despicable man, Ronaldo. A slimy, despicable man." "The only clubs that wanted you were Saudi clubs who threw money at you," Keane said. "We all know how much you love money," Keane claimed. "The real reason you left Real Madrid was because of money. You just made up the disrespect angle, and your PR bots just carried it." "You are greedy, Ronaldo, extremely greedy, and you are a cancer too." Keane's voice dripped with venom. "You ruined Real Madrid, Juventus, and Manchester United," Keane said with certainty. "Even the Saudi club you went to, you have not won the league for them. You are just feeding fat on the club's money, and you are not delivering trophies for them. So piss off, man." Finally, Keane stopped talking. Ronaldo sat there through Keane's rant. His rage nearly choked him. He wasn't the kind that would try to use a tragedy of that level as an excuse. Ronaldo remembered the day he lost his child. It was a day he could never forget, a wound that would never heal. Ronaldo smiled in the face of provocation. He stood up from his seat and said, "Excuse me, I'll be back in a moment." Ronaldo left the interview room and went to the waiting room assigned to him. Ronaldo stared at the mirror in the room, watching his own reflection. He thought about everything that has happened to him. He remembered when he rejoined Manchester United and his first season with the club. He didn't want to return to the club at first and was thinking about joining their rivals Manchester City. However, Ronaldo changed his mind when Manchester United's legendary coach, Sir Alex Ferguson, called him to rejoin United. For many United fans, and even Ronaldo himself, it was homecoming. What Ronaldo didn't know at the time was that home had become so cold. Ronaldo remembered the first day at the club when he returned. He was shocked that the club's facilities were the same way he left them. No, they were even worse. Droppings of rats everywhere, and pipes creaked and spilled water everywhere as they were dotted with leaks. During his first period at the club was filled with professionals of the greatest commitment to the club. There was Real Fadinard, Wayne Rooney, and also the man that was now currently a thorn in Cristiano's flesh, Roland Keane. Despite the quality being far from what Ronaldo was used to, he got to work and began to bang in goals for United, but not everybody appreciated him. Some of his teammates began to even plot behind his back. They didn't pass to him, and when they did pass to him, it would be in situations where he couldn't do anything with the ball. He had few friends in the squad, but he was determined to succeed and endured the loneliness. He focused and continued to give his all to the team. He scored goals and began to approach the owners of the club to make improvements in the club's facilities. However, they didn't listen, and it seemed like Ronaldo was doing too much. They ignored him and sometimes laughed at his face. Ronaldo was confused. He wondered why the club owners weren't motivated to invest in the club. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse for him, United hired a new coach and he completely disrespected Ronaldo. Ronaldo was dealing with all of this when he received good news. His surrogate mother had given birth to the twins he had been expecting. Ronaldo's troubles melted away at that moment, but what he didn't know at the time was, his happiness had a twist to it. Ronaldo arrived at the hospital with smiles, but left it in tears. One of his twins had died. His heart pulled in different directions, but he had to be strong for his girlfriend, Georgina. While he maintained that air of strength around him, inside he was crumbling. He couldn't return to Manchester United to train. How could he? He had just lost part of his happiness. It was like the time his father died. Ronaldo forced a smile for Georgina and was a present figure for the other children. No one from Manchester United came to visit him, and it gnawed at his fragile heart. They only sent him a text. Ronaldo wondered what he did that made United not like him enough to visit him. Was it the complaints he made to the club owners? He wondered why any of his teammates chose to ignore. For a month, Ronaldo didn't train and didn't even use his phone. He was cut off from the world, but he didn't care. He didn't need the world at that moment. He only wanted his family to be fine. After a month, Georgina recovered and became better. Ronaldo slipped into depression. Georgina knew there was only one way that Ronaldo could get better, was to play football. So, she promised him she was okay and asked him to go and rejoin Manchester United in training for the upcoming season. When Cristiano arrived at United's training ground, what he met shocked him. The players ignored him, and the coach sidelined him. Despite this, he trained hard and gave it everything, but he wasn't happy. When training ended that day, Ronaldo got a call from the club owner. He remembered the conversation that took place between them. "Why did you do it?" club owner, Mr. Glazer asked. Ronaldo remembered the stunned expression on his face when the club owner asked the question. "Do what?" he replied. Mr. Glazer threw a newspaper at Ronaldo's chest. Fury rose in Cristiano, but he swallowed his fury and picked up the paper from the table it fell on after hitting his chest. "Ronaldo looking for a new club," the front page of the paper read. Ronaldo's eyes widened in disbelief. "I don't know anything about this," Ronaldo protested. "My daughter died." Ronaldo's voice loudened as he could no longer stomach his fury. "Liar!" Mr. Glazer screamed. "You are trying to use your daughter's death as a cover to leave." Glazer continued. Words got stuck in Ronaldo's throat. Tears formed in his eyes. He stormed out of Glazer's office. He saw Roland Keane that day and could have sworn Keane smiled despite seeing him in tears. Suddenly, Ronaldo snapped back to the present. "Of course," he breathed. It must have been Keane who was behind that newspaper publication. Ronaldo had an idea. He remembered a conversation he had with one of the staff of Manchester United about how he should be careful of Keane. So, he called his agent and gave him certain instructions. Then he heard a knock. Ronaldo's face curled into a wicked smile. "Come in," Ronaldo said. A woman and a man entered. From their clothing, they were the studio's stewards. They had worrying looks on their faces. Outside the room were security guards. They looked tense as if something was going to happen. "It's all right, guys," Ronaldo said. "I am doing fine. In fact, I'll be going back to the studio." The stewards and the security personnel exchanged glances. Ronaldo saw the horror on their faces. "It's fine, guys," Ronaldo insisted. He walked out of the room and headed back to the studio. The security personnel and stewards scrambled after him. Ronaldo felt energized, and when the studio lights lit his face, the audience yelled in joy. Ronaldo waved and blew kisses at them. The audience continued to cheer. Ronaldo ran across the studio and shook the hands of the audience in front. He flashed his smile at those at the back. He returned to his seat and stared daggers at Keane. Keane's face was red with fury. He wondered why Ronaldo returned. Keane wanted to hurt and humiliate Ronaldo. Why would Ronaldo return? Did he want more humiliation? Numerous thoughts. Ronaldo winked at Keane and began to talk. "Keane," Ronaldo said, "you have said a lot of things about me. You have mocked the death of my daughter, and you have hurt me." Ronaldo paused. The audience was quiet now. They were on the edges of their seats. Ronaldo, the story of what really happened. He talked about what happened with Mr. Glazer too. "The club didn't even investigate the claims that I wanted to leave. They just believed I wanted to," Ronaldo revealed. It was annoying, and since the club decided they didn't want me anymore, I chose to leave. You are right that I was rejected in Europe, Ronaldo admitted. I was 38 at the time, old for a footballer, especially a striker. Also, not many clubs could afford my salary. Ronaldo paused. Not that you'd know anything about that, Ronaldo said. How much was your highest salary again? Ronaldo asked. Keane's face puffed up in anger. What do you... Keane was trying to say, but Ronaldo cut him off. How old were you when you retired again? 29? You couldn't even reach my level of performance before you washed out, Ronaldo said. Keane flew up from his chair and lunged towards Ronaldo. The studio security rushed at Keane and held him back. You piece of crap, Keane yelled. Ronaldo looked calm. He wasn't done. I am better than you, Keane. You will always be in my shadow. You know this but couldn't bear it. Ronaldo paused. Keane pushed and kicked, frustration on his face as the security personnel restrained him. You have always been envious of me. This was why you created the lie that I wanted to force a move out of Manchester United. Ronaldo's voice was calm and measured. Blood drained from Keane's face. He looked at Ronaldo in horror. Ronaldo's phone vibrated in his pocket. He smiled and kept his gaze on Keane. He had received the message he wasn't waiting for. It was a voice note. Ronaldo asked for a microphone. A steward brought it to him, and Ronaldo placed the microphone beneath his phone's speaker and played the voice note. Keane's voice echoed throughout the studio from Ronaldo's phone. The voice note detailed how Keane met with journalists and Mr. Grazer, and lied that Ronaldo was using his daughter's death as an excuse to leave Manchester United. As the voice note finished playing, Ronaldo had a smile plastered on his face. The audience began to boo Keane, who wrestled himself free and washed out of the studio. To Ronaldo, this was a battle he needed to fight to see the record straight. He had never given up before, and wasn't about to start now.